4:04. We do have a quorum. Mary will not be able to attend, and Fred is in transit. He will not be able to attend. So we do have the three of us, Susan and Beth, myself, and Cassandra, our town planner. So the first thing on the agenda here is affordable housing development site general updates. So I'm going to read Mary's update from Habitat for Humanity. So the update for Habitat, this is 808 Jerusalem, for those watching from home. There were not many significant updates on the Cohasset house, but for the month of January, there were 11 build days with a total of 59 volunteers. And so far this month in February, there were 6 build days with a total of 34 volunteers, with 7 more build days scheduled through the month of February, through next week. As far as construction goes, right now, it's mostly porches and siding that are being worked on. Insulation should be starting in the near future. So that is the update from Mary's email to share with you from Habitat. And I've been by the site a couple of times. It's moving right along. Looks good. And I believe they're on schedule to what they mentioned to us.
Yeah, they're hoping for late June move-in, I think.
So that's the update there. Stop and Shop, I think, is all set with his adding his units to be deeded affordable. So I think he's all set. I know it doesn't add to our housing stock, but that's the other site that we had been talking about. I don't have any updates on 147 South Main. I think it is over by St. Anthony's. So I assume that's going as slowly as possible.
Paul, I have a question. If he's adding to his number of units that are affordable units, why wouldn't that increase our number of affordable units?
Because he has the 20 or 21 departments, whatever it is over there. We already get credit for all of them because we already have.
Oh, you're right. Oh, of course, you're right.
Yeah, we lost 10 houses when they switched One Pleasant Street from apartments to condos.
Right, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, so
I don't know if do you know if any of those have sold, Beth?
They just came on the market. He just started marketing them.
Okay.
The little ones are like 6 something and the 2 bedrooms are like 8 something. I can't imagine somebody paying 8, but we'll see.
Yeah.
What is the square footage on those two? The 1 and 2 bedrooms? Do you remember? I was just curious.
I think the 2 bedrooms only like 1,200.
Oh, so they're not really that large.
No, they're not for a day. So
Oh, Mary's. Hi, Mary. She's got her phone there.
Oh, okay. So Mary's on mute. But I'll move on to the subcommittee updates.
I'm here.
And
hi, Mary.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
So Mary, I just read your email
Oh, good.
to everybody here so that they have the update.
Oh, good. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that update. They're pretty much still on track for what they're doing over there, to where there's going to be a groundbreaking in June and then they could move in.
I didn't go over the schedule with him. As I said, Tamar was away. He got back to me. I'd already asked him 2 questions and I figured I was pushing my luck. So I didn't. That's all I have. I don't know about the schedule, but I'm assuming they're fine.
Okay. Yeah. They do have a new director who reached out to us. Cassandra forwarded the email off to us, and I reached back out to her. I was out of town Friday and Monday, so maybe I'll be able to talk to her later this week or early next week. She just wanted to introduce herself and let her know she's let us know she's kind of heading up Habitat now for them. So that's kind of the update. So under subcommittee updates, since our last meeting, we had talked about looking at two specific town-owned properties. One of them being the, I think it's 580 CJC or something, the old Esposito landscaping lot on the corner of CJC and Pond Street, and also at the end of Evergreen Lane. And then there was another lot that was behind Evergreen Lane that actually had a CJC address. So Steve Gallmer, who is the chairman of the Affordable Housing Trust, and myself went in front of the select board and let's see here. And we basically, he was giving his kind of quarterly or biannual update to them to let them know where the trust is. And I joined him, and we kind of gave a joint update as to what we're doing from the trust and from the housing perspective, and basically warned them that the census is in 5 years from now, 3030. And, you know, we took a sigh of relief after 2020, but the fact of the matter is we need more housing. Steve did remind them that allowing One Pleasant Street to go from apartments to condos lost us 10 units,
Yeah.
which
that
in
didn't
our
help.
town, that's a big number.
Sure.
So we need to figure out how to make up for it. And so we presented the two properties to them. And we stated that we wanted their support to review those properties to see if properties are buildable at all. And then if they are, we would move forward with some sort of proposal. As Cassandra mentioned to us, the 585 CJC, I think it is, the town does have dibs on some of that property that they have to exchange for the cell tower property at Wheelwright. So they're waiting on that process to flow through. And so we kind of kicked that around for quite a bit, whether it was buildable or not, how much wetlands is there, is it really worth the headache kind of thing. So we told them it probably is not the preferred site for us, but it's nonetheless a site that Steve wants to take a look at. It already has a septic system. So that's something that he wants to take a look at. And then we talked about at the end of Evergreen, and we wanted to look at that. And the only question they had was why did it stop where it did? Why didn't they continue on down and around?
That's what I would always wondered. I mean, back in the day, I don't know if Mary, because Mary grew up around there, if she has any thoughts of what she ever heard about. It seems like that whole neighborhood was going great guns, and then why would they stop building where they did?
I have no idea. I was out of town for 30 years, so I don't know. You know, I don't know what went on back then.
But when you were growing up there, like all the streets that are there now are pretty much set, right? Like Arrowwood and Old Pasture and all that.
Well, they first put in the Bayberry, Tupelo, Arrowwood, Play Spring, and then after that they developed Old Pasture and Reservoir.
Okay.
And then after that I think Evergreen went in. But it happened in sequence.
Okay, I see. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know
And
the
Paul-
details.
As for the 585 or whatever the number is on CJC, what does Steve mean when he says he wants to look into it? What does he plan to be doing, or is he expecting us to do that, or what does that all entail?
Right. So basically, what he wanted was support from the select board to move forward with seeing if the sites are buildable, because everyone has their own opinion on whether or not they're buildable.
What-
When you
so
actually
All
have
three
to,
of those. All
Do
three of
any-
those?
so you have to spend,
bad. You
know
that.
so you have to spend money and send somebody out who's a subject matter expert in knowing if land is buildable or not.
Yeah,
So they're
engineer.
gonna have to pay someone to go out there and survey the property to some level to let us know if it's buildable.
Yeah. I've already seen surveyors out there at one point. Maybe that was just to survey where the wetlands are. I don't know. But I have
Was
seen
it-
people out there surveying at some point.
I've seen flags, like recent flags there.
So I talked to Cassandra about that. I think it was water department.
Oh, okay. I knew somebody was out putting the
Yeah.
flags up.
So in any event, so now the trust would have to spend money to send people to the different sites to see what can be done with the property. So, friend of mine who's been in town for 100 years or so, called me and said, "Hey, this is the guy we always use for the land, and call him, and they should be able to help you figure this out fairly quick."
So the board was okay with that, with us,
Um,
the trust, like spending some money to do that?
Yeah, the select board said they supported 100%.
Okay,
They're curious as to why, the end of Evergreen was stopped, and it just, this could have been just for, we have enough houses or something, who knows?
yeah,
Because certainly the Osgood wasn't there. So they could have kept going all the way to Sawyer Street.
yeah.
But anyway, so I haven't talked to Steve yet. He was having a tough time getting a quorum with his group. He has some people leaving their board. So if you know anybody who would like to be on the board of the housing trust, they need people to be on the housing trust. Now they had the same problem we did. They got, I think, seven or nine people on their board, and they're having a hard time getting a quorum. So I mentioned we did two, so we dropped down to 5. That way there we can have a quorum with 3. So he doesn't want to have to go that route, but he might have to. So now we just have to get together with them to say, what's the process? What would you like to go through to see what these properties are? They're on the other CJC property that is in between Red Fox Lane and Stop and Shop. I believe there's a conservation hold on that property. I don't know what the terminology is. Do you know, Cassandra? I don't think it's a conservation hold. I think it's a conservation something.
It's a conservation restriction.
Restriction. Thank you. Oh, okay. We
It's
think
just to the south of Stop and Shop.
Yeah, that property that I had showed you earlier. Let me see if I can call it up.
All right. Okay.
So that one I was told might have a conservation restriction, but
Is it at
So-
the end of Red Fox or it fronts CJC?
yeah, no, it's next to it. Okay. So this is the property here. It looks like a meat cleaver.
Yeah,
That one might have a conservation restriction on, but we have to confirm. So
That's due to wetland, you mean?
I don't know why there would be a conservation restriction. I believe Peppermint Brook runs under there that you don't see here
Okay,
because Stop and Shop had an issue with Peppermint Brook as well. That's back here. The new building is here.
Yeah,
So when he had a systemic issue with septic over here, they would not give him the permit for septic here. And DEP stepped in and said, well, you know, you got Peppermint Brook, you got these failing systems. The solution for this would be sewer.
right.
And because it was under common ownership and it was contiguous properties, there's a limit to how much you could have pumped per day in septic. So it was exceeding that limit anyway. So he couldn't have septic in ground. He would have to figure out something there. So they said sewer was the solution for that property. So that's what that became. So for this over here, I don't know what the situation is there. I don't have an address for it. But that I believe has that. This one right here, not sure why it wasn't finished. But certainly we'll find out one way or the other. And there's all this property down back here, which we can look into as well, but we want to figure out these two first before we head down the bigger path.
Paul, looking at the Mass Mapper, that pork chop lot does have a CR on it. It's labeled as the Peppermint Brook Conservation Restriction.
Okay, it is. Okay, so that's off the table then.
Yes.
that makes sense.
Okay, so that's gone. So what's
So
the
does that
address?
mean really
Cassandra?
only have,
It's just in Mass Mapper, it's just labeled as 0 CJC. I could maybe look for something more specific if there is something, but I doubt it since it's undeveloped.
Okay. All right.
so does
And
that
then
mean we're
just
down to just the 2 units then, is that right? Or the 2 places, that this one up Evergreen and then the CJC at Pond Street?
so this is CJC right here. I don't know what
The
the
other
address.
at Pond Street.
The one here is Evergreen. And that one we'll have to find out why that was never further developed.
No, so what I'm asking is that mean that, but since this one is off the table, this one that's right next to Stop and Shop.
Yep.
Does that mean that we only have 2 that we're exploring, which is this one at Evergreen and then the one that Steve wants to pursue, which is at the corner of Pond Street?
Yeah,
So we're down to 2 lots. Yeah.
Right, that's what I was asking. Okay.
So there are other lots that we can explore as well that are larger. But we would need to probably kind of get together as a group as a committee to review larger lots and what that would entail if we identify a larger lot before we identify it, to say, this is what we're thinking. We want to find out from the trust and from the building inspector or the planning board, if we had identified 7 to 10 acres of town-owned property, what would be the process for us to we know what it takes to transfer it to the trust, right? It's a town meeting. And then once they have it, what does it take for them to then sell it to a developer? We would want the property to have, deed restrictions on it and some level of zoning restrictions on it as well, so that they can't build something too crazy,
that was my next question, was if we found out, say, Evergreen Lane's buildable, what is it we're thinking someone would put there? It like the neighborhood wouldn't necessarily want, I don't know, apartments, I don't think back there, or are we talking about trying to get someone to build little houses or what?
Yeah, so we talked about was small homes. And again, we can talk to Cassandra about what a 40R is. I know there's smaller homes. I forget the range of square footage. I thought it was 1,200 square feet. That the state has it on. And they could be deed restricted properties for affordability.
Well, there's a little bit of that wetland area up in there, so obviously they kind of
Yep.
have to stay away from that. But you know, there's cluster housing where you can have the units fairly close together and then have a larger parcel that's undeveloped.
Right.
And that lends itself to that.
You can see in the upper right over here, there's wetlands here, and you can see how close these properties are to it.
Right. Yeah, so you can be pretty close.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
well, this
that's
is not,
old school. That's old
this is
school.
not,
That's
That's
before conservation really got powerful.
yeah, this is not to scale per se, but it pretty much will give you an idea. One of the select board members said, "Hey, I support you 100%, but you know, we just passed a whole bunch of zoning bylaws. So make sure you don't, you know, chisel somebody's ledge away." And so we told them that we would be obviously observing whatever the current bylaws are for the town.
Which that's part of the trouble, is that they kind of work at cross purposes to each other.
Yeah. So so that's where we are. That's the update. So I can you know, it's funny because there's an acre behind the Red Lion Inn, which I always thought we could put some veterans community housing in. And I had talked to NeighborWorks about this, I don't know, 6 years ago when we first started. There is some ledge there that would have to be chiseled away, but because now the ledge law that we have would, you know, probably come into effect. I don't know,
But Beth, as far as like even this on Evergreen or any other site that we have, and how it fits with the updated zoning bylaws, is there no, I don't know, waiver you might say, for the fact that there's an attempt to achieve our affordable housing quota, you know, that we need to reach?
Well, I would think
Without,
that's a town issue, you know, that comes from the select board and how they would choose to, you know, if they want to override some of the zoning there or something else, you know, that's where.
is that something that they can do, or is that something that has to go before town meeting to vote to approve the fact that if a developer or the town, whoever, is attempting to create additional affordable housing that meets that certain criteria, that there can be kind of looking askance at some of the new zoning bylaws to be able to achieve this. Otherwise, if we don't achieve this come 2030, then you open yourself up to 40B, which can be even worse.
so Cassandra could probably answer that question, but I can probably say that if you're going to ask for a variance or a waiver or a limited restriction or a limited exemption, you know, I think those things are harder to achieve. I don't think because it's affordable that makes a difference, because it's the purpose of these zoning bylaws are to protect the conservation property that's there. So Cassandra, you could probably speak to it better.
Yeah, there's no waiver for not having to go before the boards for affordable housing opportunities. If we're talking specifically with something ledge removal related, they don't have to go before the board if the ledge removal is in relation to the foundation of a home. There's just other things that they would need to go before the board for. There are some exemptions, like I said, for a home. But whether or not something is affordable housing is not a component.
Is that something that could be according to select board, or
No.
how would there be a way to achieve that?
I mean, the bylaws are there to, like Paul said, like to protect the land. And where both the planning board and the zoning board look at affordable housing components as a part of their applications, you kind of want them to go before the boards. Like there's no real reason to, it's not going to necessarily stop the development as long as they're complying with the bylaw.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is still go before the board, but to have the opportunity to ask for an exemption to some situation that might present itself if this is in an effort to achieve our amount of affordable housing that we need to have. Because if we do not achieve it come 2030, then we do open ourselves up to a 40B, which could then be giving them the right to completely ignore what the zoning is.
I guess I can't really accurately answer whether or not the boards would give an exemption without knowing like exactly what would be
the
requested
situation
for an exemption.
Okay.
Like
well,
right
that
now,
makes-
we're just hypothesizing that somebody might
Yeah.
be requesting an exemption. We don't even know that that's the case.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking down the line about the possibilities to try to look at some of these sites that might be challenging.
I mean,
know
you
we
could
might
also
be-
look at it in the sense of that the Habitat site had its challenges and they had to go before the zoning board and
Yeah.
they were still able to do the project.
Oh, yeah. I'm not thinking you don't go before the zoning board. I think you go, but that there might be a better chance of them giving a waiver. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on it, but I was just trying to speculate how that might work. Because I'm looking at this and, you know, I don't know how much the wetland would impact anything.
The wetlands, I don't know that because that's a state controlled thing and I don't manage the Conservation Commission, that's Charlotte, so I don't want to speak too much on her behalf, but I don't know that there's any sort of exemptions for wetlands.
No, I would think not. Okay, thank you.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions? I don't have any other subcommittee updates other than that. So I guess the next thing to do is I'll reach out to Steve Gomer to let him know that we're looking to see what the next steps would be for them to spend some money to kind of investigate these two properties out of the three. And kind of go from there. So
Paul, would
See
it be
what-
helpful for me to invite you to their March meeting?
yeah. When is it?
It is March 12th.
8:45 a.m.
Yes.
The
That's a Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay.
The MBTA, rezoning mandate, we rezoned stuff along 3A, right, Cassandra? Is that what they ended up doing?
We did. It is not in this particular area, but it is along 3A. It's kind of over closer to the train station and like Hingham Lumber, that area.
Yeah. So if somebody ever did, go ahead and do something there, that would add to our affordable stuff, right? Would that come in under that and help us?
I don't.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be a net zero gain for us.
It wouldn't add to our benefit?
Well, there would be presumably an affordable housing component because the inclusionary zoning is still applicable. I don't know how much it would push the needle percent-wise.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody put up, 100 units, 20% of them would be affordable. So I don't think we'd be any farther ahead on the 10.3 than we already are, because they're going to give us 20% of what they're building anyway.
Oh, okay.
30 or 40% of what they were building, we'd go to 10.7, 10 or 11.0 or something. We're not gaining more than what's being built. If we get the same percentage of what's being built, then I think we don't move the needle.
Yeah, so you'd really need more units like a Habitat type project, like that. I'm not saying them per se, but that kind of thing, because it's not a 20% of a certain number.
Or in
But the-
theory, if the project was all rental units, that might push the
That
needle
could
as
too.
well.
Yeah, because if rental, we get credit for everything. So, you know, Avalon, I think, has the ability to do 50 or 100 more units up there, but I don't know that the preserve would do that or not. They
Well,
have the problem.
I could see apartments, rental units going in if there is a possibility to build at all there at the corner with Pond Street, but I can't see that on Evergreen. I envision that more like condos, like a small scale version of Wheelwright Farm or 100 Pond or something like that.
Yeah.
Smaller
So, I mean,
units.
the goal for any project that's 5 or more contiguous units, then, you know, rental is the only thing that's going to save us.
Right.
If there are condos, then we're going to have to keep the fight.
Yeah.
So that was the problem with Mount Pleasant. You know, we'd have picked up 14 units instead of 4.
Yeah. That was, and I'm skeptical about, you know, people. So I looked again, the 1 bedrooms are only 709 square feet for 559,000. And
That's really small.
the 2 bedroom is 1232 square feet for 829.
Wow.
And there's
So
no
if-
like outside space there. There's no amenities to it.
It's right on the train track again.
I think the
So-
guy would have been better off to keep them rental.
And if he's not able to sell them, what's the process? It has to go back before select board to request it to go back to apartments?
Select board has no control over the property. It's the planning board. They've already been approved for condominiums. So they would have to file to convert it back to apartments. So I don't know what the process is for that, but that's what they would do.
Is that something that can happen, Cassandra?
I mean, it could, but I don't think that the developer has any interest in doing that.
So the issue he has right now is he already sold 1 condo. So,
Oh, he has sold one.
right. So the first floor is a condo.
Oh, that downstairs.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's already being leased. So the horse is out of the barn on that.
Yeah.
So that's why we have to just focus on, you know, what's ever possible next in town that, you know, people are thinking of or might do. And, you know, it's all, and quite honestly, the only thing that would happen for affordable housing is if, you know, there was sewer in certain areas like 3A, then you could build more units. There would be more, you know, apartments above retail shops,
Right.
I guess, but we just have to focus on the land that we have. See what else is out there. I don't know of any other new developments. The only one that was hanging out there really is the gas station in the village. We don't know if they're ever coming back or what they're gonna do, so. You haven't heard anything on that property, have you, Cassandra?
I actually talked to one of the developers today. They're looking to potentially extend their special permit. I don't know for how long. I haven't gotten an official letter. So, but it's not moving forward quickly.
So
And
that was the only other one.
They still hadn't decided apartment versus condos.
So it's under new ownership too, so.
Mm.
I believe it's actually going up to auction this week.
Oh,
it's
the
going-
property?
Yes.
Okay.
Huh.
So that'll be a while. So other than that, does anybody have any other items they want to talk about? Is Mary still with us?
I think.
Yep, okay. So our next meeting we have,
I'm here, but I'm at a loud place, so I'm trying to mute.
oh, no
All right.
problem. Don't tell us because we'll be depressed.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope it's funny having a cocktail.
So Cassandra, what would you say the next March would be? Because on the agenda, you still have January 21.
There-
Oh, wait a minute. The meeting minutes, I'm sorry. Yeah, March 18th at 4:00
Should I
is
do-
our next.
That's the
Yep.
next
Yep,
scheduled
that's a
meeting.
Tuesday. Yep, sorry about that. Yeah, I mixed up the minute meetings. So everyone got the minutes for January?
Yes. I
Okay.
will not be here March 18th, just so you have a heads up.
Okay, maybe we can get Fred here.
Yeah, I might not be either. I'm just
Okay.
thinking.
I will be out in San Francisco visiting our daughter, so.
Okay. So are we good with the meeting minutes?
Yep. I move that we approve them. They were
Okay,
covered.
second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, minutes are approved. The next meeting is going to be the 18th.
Should we think
And-
about doing it the next week, the 25th? Because I think I might be gone too.
Okay,
I don't have the ability to do it on the 25th. I could do it on the 11th, or I could do it on a Monday if you guys wanted to switch it to a different day for that time.
I'm available the 11th. We're just gone from the 13th to the 19th.
I think I'm gonna be going like that week, the 11th, and coming
Uh.
back there the Monday or Tuesday. All right, well, I don't know, keep it the 18th and we'll see how it rolls.
okay,
I think I'm around the 18th. I don't think may not make it on the 11th.
Yeah. So if it's Paul and Mary and if Fred can
Fred.
be there, that's still 3.
Okay. Yeah, and if we don't have a quorum, we can schedule something, within a week or two,
Okay,
if we need to, if anything's really that hot.
okay.
Okay, awesome. In the meantime, I'll be meeting with the trust before our next meeting, so I'll have an update for you guys. On
Good.
Does
All right.
any more comments or questions?
No, I think
Do I have a
so.
motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All righty.
Thanks, guys.
Listen,
Okay.
happy St. Patrick's Day, because it'll be happening before our next meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Same.
Everybody.
All right,
Take
thanks.
care.
Bye-bye,
See you
guys.
guys. Bye.